we're gonna talk about today the 7 tips to eye contact and the importance of eye contact. So, does anyone want to share why eye contact is important? Yeah, you can go first. Connection, yeah. You're just with them. Yeah. If I was just standing like this, right? But being with someone. Yeah, so keeping them engaged. Yeah, attention, really good. Yeah, in the back. Trust. Okay. Yeah, just to unpack that too, has anyone here felt someone wobble before? And do you know what I mean by wobble? Okay. I'm going to use some languages that are a bit more less Englishly, I would call them. A wobble is maybe there's a shakiness in someone's energy, right? When they're creating eye contact, right? You may feel a wobble. Very common man to woman interactions, right? Women, you must probably feel a man's wobble, right? You feel his, nervousness, and that could create an energetic wobble, right? So even up here, what happens with eye contact is we can create a wobble, and ideally what we want to do is create that trust where you can create essentially a soft gaze. That's the gaze we're looking for. Really, really tune into my eyes tonight. Really, if you can. Thankfully, I floated. So like I said, I was just in meditation, so it's a little bit easier for me to tune into it. But tune into the fragrance that's coming out of my eyes tonight, because ideally you want to have a soft gaze. So just before I get into the tips here, something that just came up, which does happen from time to time, but you'll see most people avoid it. When the eyes start to water, when tears start coming out of the eyes. A lot more women in here tonight, so that may come up. Just want to let you know you're safe to go there if you want to. And if you need to go to that place of yourself, you're welcome, you're supported, and you're not judged, and you're accepted. So there's a huge power in allowing our eyes to cry, because it's so beautiful. Tension is in our energetic field or our body, some sort of trauma, whatever it is, and we can have a release. So very, very powerful. So number 1, before you speak, connect with your audience. A very, very powerful thing you can do, and play with your edge. But who is here at the Nataraja workshop? Yeah, the one in the Shala. I played with this. I don't know if you remember. Yeah, you remember, right? I'd really encourage you, any of you that want to play, I love experimenting. If you want to play with this edge, there is so much power and energy in silence and with eye contact, especially when you start your workshop. So for those that weren't there, I was sat in meditation. And so my brain made no prejudgments of anyone, but I was just feeling everyone as they're sitting down. And everyone, the way the Shala works out, it's kind of like a spiritual vortex. Everyone was quiet. So now I'm sitting there feeling so much energy. And I'm not seeing anyone, so I'm just inside myself. And then I start by looking at the ground. And then I start looking at everyone. And I'm connecting. Imagine that. You're at the front of the workshop, and you're connecting with people for the first time. No words exchanged. And everyone's looking at you in silence. Everyone, should we, what? But we want to sit in that space if you can. So it's an invitation if you can. If you're a facilitator or you're running a workshop or anything, if you can, start with just silence and eye contact. Very, very powerful. So tonight, if you can, it's an invitation to just come up here and just be with everyone before you speak. Number 2, really important. Pick each person, and it doesn't have to be you don't have to go off each person like this, right? But pick people to connect with for about 3 to 5 seconds. Have that connection, and then make sure you're scanning the room. Now, naturally, you're going to be more comfortable with certain audience members just because we have certain vibrations, right? So you might have a friend or a kind eyes that you can connect with, that you feel comfortable with. You might find yourself floating back, but scan the room, but connect with someone for about 3 to 5 seconds. And the more you play with this, the easier it gets. Because I remember first when, I don't know if anyone's been here, when I talked about my first, I used to do this when I used to public speak, and I just scan the room like this because of all my anxiety up on stage. I would just do this back and forth because it would help me get my anxiety out. But I would just scan, because I've heard the rule, right? Like you got to scan the room, keep eye contact. But again, it's like intentional eye contact. So be okay being with people. It's okay. This is really great. This is a really interesting one. Tonight, another subtlety that I want you to be present to. Where are your eyes when you end your sentence? Where are your eyes when you end your sentence? Right? So just if you can, or what's fun is observing others, right? Observe me. Like, I know this stuff, but I'm still working on this stuff as well, by the way. So when you end your sentence, just notice where your eyes are in the room, right? When you finish your sentence, if you can. Okay, so great question. So your question is, so did you just notice where my eyes were? Where does anyone catch that? It was very subtle. Did anyone catch it? You gotta be quick on this. I looked there quickly. Yeah. Do you know why I did that? Does anyone know? Yes, quick. You gotta catch it. This, right? I did this. I talked to him, but this was genuine. The reason I'm exposing myself is what you'll develop is you'll be able to build so this is some ninja stuff, which hopefully you're going to get to. Maybe some of you are already there. But what you want to develop is ability to speak and audit yourself at the same time. So I'm present to my hand gesture right now. That was intentional. But what you can do is you can be intentional with the way you speak, and then you can audit yourself and catch yourself. So they teach us this in sales as well. It's almost like you're expressing. I used to do this in Vegas all the time. I would express my pitch, but I was observing, so I could be in two places of awareness at once. So hopefully as you get up here, you get more comfortable. You can be present with the audience. You can be present with what you're saying, and you can be present with your hand gestures and your eye contact. So what just happened there is I just looked up. That's actually really natural. So this ends with the sentence. Our brain goes up in our subconscious mind, and we look up or around to grab information, bits of data. The eyes make up 70% of the way our brain works. So let's say our brain has 100% capacity, right? 70% of it goes to sight. 70%. Our eyes are so intelligent, and it's making up the majority of our brain. So our eyes are connected to our brain, which is connected to our subconscious mind. So when we look up, so I would encourage you, if you forget something, you're like, oh, what was that? And you often see people do this, right? Oh, it was, what was his name? It was Tom. Look up. Make your eyes go up to the left or to the right, and you'll be able to draw upon your information because this is the way it's connected to your subconscious mind. So I just did that. It was really subtle. So yeah, I'll just finish answering this question here. Looking down could convey like insecurity. It could. When you look down. The reason when you look down is you're trying to find yourself, but ideally you can find yourself in the other. Unless you're Jordan Peterson, sure. Sure. He look, there's exceptions. This isn't like humans are humans, right? We're not binaural. And also very great conviction speakers also break the rules all the time. You know, it's not direct. Exactly. Yeah. He can do that. But I've seen some public speaker trainers. Did you just catch that? I was like this again. I've seen some public speaker trainers make an intentional, but you're breaking eye contact with the audience. So if you're going to make an intentional, do it this way so that at least you're not breaking eye contact with the audience. Beautiful. Thank you for adding. And by the way, just to let everyone know, that's why I take this standpoint. I just know some things. I don't know all things. And I know that everyone in this room has their bits of data and their mastery. So this is just a way, it's not the way. So thank you for adding to that. Okay, key concept. If you do feel uncomfortable, as opposed to looking down, you can try this tonight. Everyone just like look at my forehead right now. So I'll look at, can you tell that I'm looking at your forehead? Can you tell that I'm looking at your forehead? I'll just scan all of your foreheads right now so you can get a gauge on that. That's what I did actually at the beginning when I first started speaking, is I just looked at people's foreheads because their eyes were too intimidating for me. So I just looked at their forehead, or what you can do is just scan above the head. Well, here's the thing. The reason why is the way you're positioned on the stage, right? The way you're positioned on the stage, when you're looking at a sea of people, you're not really connecting in the way that we're connecting right now. So that's what starts to happen, is you think of your eyes as like the sun. You want to make sure that you leave no part of the audience cold, right? So you just want to share your sun with the audience. So that's why, but what starts to happen, because our brains can only, do you see where I'm going to, right? I'm grabbing the bits of data. Our brains can only register so many bits of data. So in our brain, back to our prehistoric mind, or I say a prehistoric brain, we can't handle that many eyes looking at us. It actually means danger. So there's a mechanism in our brain that starts to shut off our ability to see for survival, because our brain's basically overheating in that moment. So what starts to happen is when you're speaking in front of a lot of people, you start to create like a gaze. There's a gaze that starts to happen. But what starts to happen, what most people, if you ever listen to like artists that go in front of like Madison Square Garden, it's actually a very spiritual experience, because you can't really connect with all that. So you're just actually, if anyone's experienced a large crowd, you're just very present to the steps and where you are, because you can't connect like we can connect in here. Practice. Just practice. Practice with your eyes. Tonight, I really want you to be intentional. Just focus on eye contact tonight. It doesn't matter, stage present, wherever you're moving, just focus on practicing your eyes. Thankfully, we have a very kind audience tonight, so you're safe. Practice that. Okay, great. Beautiful questions. Thanks for everyone's input. Now we're going to get into some training, because I don't want to be talking the whole time. I want you to be talking. That's why you're here.